We're talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? So not the newer, the older one.
The 2005 guy didn't have a character. So I guess that's a plus for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory's Grandpa Joe.
Right.
Okay, so let's start from the top. So, what happens? How does it even start with Grandpa Joe?
Well, one of the first scenes they show Charlie just came home from doing his day job of selling papers when he wanted to be playing with those kids in the candy shop, but he couldn't because he had to work.
Yeah.
And then
for his family.
Right, and he goes home, and it turns out he has 4 grandparents, but they've all been bedridden for 20 years.
Well, supposedly bedridden.
Right, as we find out later.
One of them, all he needed was a little push. He was just fine.
Right, and Charlie comes home, and I think he bought bread.
Yeah, he bought a loaf of bread with his hard-earned money from doing paper delivery at the tender age of like 13, which is fine. You know, he's working hard. He has raggedy clothes, and his mother just labors away caring for these 4 bedridden old people. And Charlie spends his hard-earned cash on the family, and he's a very, very kind person. They did Charlie very well. And yeah, so what does he tell the mom? He says, the mom asks where he got the bread, and you know what Grandpa says.
Oh, Grandpa Joe is like, what does it matter where he got it? All that matters is he got it.
Yeah, so he couldn't care. Charlie could have killed the baker and stole the bread. He could have stole the money from somebody. He could have stole the food from some poor family. Like, Charlie could have done a whole lot of things, and Grandpa Joe just didn't care.
And even more so, he didn't care that Charlie spent his own money on the bread. He just wanted the food.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even best case scenario, Charlie used his own money, which is what happened. Charlie used his hard-earned cash on it. Grandpa Joe didn't even seem to care. He didn't feel guilty at all. In fact, he was mad of even questioning why he bought it or where he got it from. He's just... Something's wrong.
So that's where we're introduced to Grandpa Joe. Right away off the bat, he's a little off.
Even before that.
Or ungrateful.
So he's eating, was it cabbage soup?
Oh, right.
And he's complaining about how, the mom's working too hard or something. And he says, well, maybe if the floor wasn't so cold, he could, get up.
Yeah, he was complaining about the mom working too hard, and he said he would be able to get up and help if the floor wasn't so cold. Yeah.
Well, he says as soon as he's able to, he's going to go and help his mother. Is that his mom? Is that his daughter?
That's his daughter in this movie, yeah.
And then she says, I haven't even seen you take a step on this floor in 20 years.
Maybe it was an exaggeration, but I don't know what it actually was in the book.
He didn't even try, though, to move.
Well, knowing how genuine the mom was, I don't think she says a lie. So, well, actually, no, she exaggerated later in the movie when she said there's 100 billion people on the planet. I don't know. The point is, he must have been in bed for a long time, and he didn't even try to get out, even though he seemed all right. Right, and then Charlie, after he has the bread, he offers Grandpa Joe the money he had left over to buy tobacco, trying to meet a nice kid, a nice grandson.
Yeah, he buys. They can't even afford a loaf of bread, and even today it's dirt cheap. So back then it must have been insanely cheap. And he offers to buy Grandpa Joe freaking his tobacco money, to use his money to pay for Grandpa Joe's tobacco. Right. Are you kidding me?
And the mom and the Grandpa Joe says he quit, and then the mom says there's no way he quit.
So after 20 years of smoking tobacco and is pretending to be bedridden, which you'll find out later he's pretending to be bedridden. 20 years of this, and he's still eating tobacco, and all of a sudden he quits because Charlie's finally earning some cash. He might, I don't know if he feels guilty. Something tells me he doesn't feel guilty. I think he just kind of like, shoot,
Well-
I better stop. They could easily like stop funding his stuff, so he just decided to.
Well, no,
Stop.
Grandpa Joe says when bread looks like a buffet, we shouldn't be spending money on my tobacco. Grandpa Joe even admits it,
Yeah, so this is clearly the first time.
but he still takes the money.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But this is clearly the first time that this conversation has been brought up. And I think it's the first time that Charlie actually brought home some money. I'm guessing. It's like the first time Charlie actually like earned money and helped out with the family a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good assumption.
So...
But someone must have been funding his tobacco addiction.
They can't even... The guy can't even get out of bed. They're eating cabbage soup every day. He probably smells horrible. He doesn't care. And he's getting tobacco. I mean, what a selfish... That's just so selfish. Extremely selfish. And Charlie is such a nice guy. He's like willing to pay and spend his money on the tobacco.
Yeah, he just wants to make his grandfather happy. Or happier than he is right now. And then Grandpa Joe takes the money to get the tobacco.
Yeah, he actually takes the money for the tobacco. And he interrupts his daughter.
Actually, I wonder though,
Like, rudely.
did he use that money? Because remember later in the movie, he buys Charlie a chocolate bar because he wants to see if he could get the golden ticket, and they open it up in like middle of the night.
Yeah, but
I wonder if that
Yeah.
was the same. He used the money for that.
I think he did. Yeah, he didn't buy tobacco. He spent it on chocolate to get...
When
Oh my gosh.
when there's like a 1 in a trillionth chance of winning.
We'll talk about Grandpa Joe's insanely insidious hypocrisy later when he criticizes Wonka for getting up Charlie's dreams and hopes and then crashing them down,
That was the worst part.
and then decides, which is exactly what he was doing, except his plan failed because Charlie actually got the ticket, so like he couldn't see Charlie's crash dreams and hopes like in fruition. But no, even before that, Grandpa Joe is sitting in bed, criticizing his daughter, interrupts her rudely, says the food tastes bad or something like that, and then he says, "Well, the floor is so cold." He just criticizes his hardworking daughter, who takes after him and his 3 other bedridden old folks, which at least they weren't complaining about anything. At least they were just being quiet and thankful for what they were given. But Grandpa Joe complains about the floor being cold and just like
tells his daughter what to do. Later in the movie, when they're watching TV, he tells her to turn it off. What if everyone else wanted to keep watching?
Yeah. What if when you didn't ask anybody else if they wanted to keep watching the show?
Right.
Like, what's his problem?
Well, okay, what happens after that scene? Then the golden ticket, like people start hearing about the golden ticket contest.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so he just starts getting up Charlie's hopes. Like, you're going to win all 5. You can do it.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said, you're going to win all 5. And Charlie says, oh, well, 1 is enough for me. And I'm paraphrasing here, people, but...
Yeah. And yeah, he keeps getting Charlie's hopes up of winning the golden ticket. And later he says his reason was that Charlie needs something to hope for.
But yeah.
Even though the mom, she sang a whole song about it. She said Charlie used to smile and be happy, but since the golden ticket thing happened, he's been so disappointed and distraught. She wants to see him smile again. So
Yeah.
Grandpa Joe clearly is harming Charlie's mental health.
Okay, so that's how it opens up, with him complaining about the floor being cold and the food tasting bad, and basically he's bedridden and he's like complaining about it to his hardworking daughter who's taking care of 4 old people. Then after that, when Charlie gets home, he basically doesn't care if Charlie killed somebody to get the food, or he stole it, or anything of the matter, because the mom, of course, doesn't want Charlie to be a bad person, but Grandpa Joe doesn't seem to care. I think he just doesn't want to eat cabbage soup. He just wants some good bread. Then he takes the money from Charlie to buy tobacco. Albeit he did pretend, I don't know if he pretended, but he did say like he's quitting tobacco as soon as Charlie tried to give it to him. But you know what? I think that was actually just a plan. He wanted to pretend that he was trying to be a good person, so that it's like, oh no, like I don't want any cake. And it's like, no, are you sure? Like, here, just take it. I go, okay. It's like that. Like, so he was just pretending to trick these people into thinking that he is actually a very kind old man.
I mean, that would make sense. That's consistent with his character.
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that he just complains about everything and doesn't do anything. So, okay. So, I think the next scene is what? Him and Charlie are, like, talking at the middle of the night. Charlie says he, like, saw Willy Wonka's factory, like, from the distance. And he said he saw it light up.
I think there was a scene where Charlie came home with the chocolate bar, and Grandpa Joe was, like, telling him to open it up. Let's see that golden ticket. And getting his hopes up before that.
I think it was before that? Okay.
But, no, because then Grandpa Joe buys another one. Because he wants...
Okay, so which scene were you going to talk about?
Well, the one where Charlie comes home with his own bar that he bought, we already talked about. Like, Grandpa Joe just tries to get his hopes up. And,
Well, okay, so when they first announced that the contest is going on, Grandpa Joe says that Charlie is going to get all 5 tickets to Charlie, getting his hopes way up. And anybody who's, like, even a relatively good person, it's like getting someone's hopes up about winning the lottery, basically. Except it's actually much more difficult to win than the lottery, because you're talking about the world, right? So...
It's way more difficult.
It's way more difficult. And Grandpa Joe's getting his hopes up. And I just... Like, why would you do that to somebody?
He said he needed something to hope for.
Then, but why? Why does he need something to hope for? Like, what does that even mean?
I'm not sure.
Was Charlie
I think
depressed?
he thought he was really miserable. I thought, no, the mom sang a whole song about wanting to see Charlie smile again. I swear Charlie wasn't depressed before the contest. And then afterwards, Grandpa Joe got his hopes up so much that he became depressed.
Yeah, so he was actually making Charlie, because he was putting the wrong things that Charlie should be thinking about into his head. Like, Charlie, here's the thing. Charlie was clearly being brought up right. He was hardworking. He was helping his family. He bought the bread with his own money to provide for his family. He was getting an education. He was doing good.
And Grandpa Joe's telling him to spend his money on chocolate bars so he can chase some far-fetched dream.
It's like, no, like, save that money, buy something you really want, invest it, put it to the family. I mean, goodness, Charlie was doing good. He's a good person. It's not like he's, like, on drugs or anything. He's doing fine. He's gonna make it when he's older. Like, it's just a fact.
And after Grandpa Joe kicks the bucket in, like, 2 years, Charlie will be even better off because they'll be able to save more money. He had a lot to hope
Yeah,
for.
they don't have to spend so much money on tobacco, and he won't get as confused about morality. Like, Grandpa Joe should never have said anything about the contest. In fact, what he should have said was, you know, like, barely anyone's going to win, so it's only 5 different people are going to win. So don't worry about it. It's just so ridiculous to even consider winning. So let's think about other things, like how your grades, you know, or you're not getting in trouble in school, your teachers like you. Instead, he wants him to win all 5 golden tickets, thinks that he needs something to hope for. I'm not even sure what that means. That tells me that something is so messed up in Grandpa Joe's head that he's rubbing that sickness in the mind.
He's projecting himself onto Charlie.
That's exactly what's happening. He's projecting his own, like, misfortunes onto Charlie. He just thinks Charlie's miserable because he's miserable.
That's actually exactly what's happening. Because he was so obsessed with Willy Wonka that he wanted to win the tickets so bad.
Yeah.
He was making Charlie do the work for him.
Yeah. So, let's go to that one scene. So Charlie and him are, like, talking in the middle of the night, and Charlie's, like, fascinated by Wonka's factory because it's amazing, right? And he sees, like, the lights, and he's just really cool. Any kid, I don't care how rich you are, they'd be like, wow, that's really cool. And then Grandpa Joe, for some reason, he knows so much about the factory. He, like, knows that Slugworth was a competitor who kept trying to steal secrets, like corporate espionage from Willy Wonka. Which, by the way, Grandpa Joe advocates for later in the movie. He advocates for Charlie to commit corporate espionage later in the movie. Like, are you sick? That's a sick thing to do.
After he spoke out against it his whole life, yeah.
Who spoke out against it?
Or he told Charlie how Slugworth was not a good guy.
Yeah, because Slugworth was doing it. Oh, well, I guess if Grandpa Joe advocates for it, it's perfectly fine. Or Willy Wonka's a bad guy, so it's okay. Hypocrite.
Yeah, right.
But so they're talking, and Yeah, how does he know all about that stuff?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. In the 2005 version, Grandpa Joe worked for Wonka,
Right.
but it didn't lead. There was no payoff for that. That was a pointless thing. But I'm just wondering if
Maybe
was that in the book? I don't even know.
he probably made up half the stuff he said. I really don't know. Or no, it was probably stuff that was basic stuff in the news, because he said Wonka closed his factory and then started it up 3 years later, and no one knows why it's working. Maybe Charlie was just too young to hear about it.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Right.
Okay, so I guess in that particular scene, he wasn't doing anything insidious, I don't think. But yeah, his projection of his miserableness, he was definitely projecting that onto Charlie. And like how Charlie has nothing to hope for. Like, why would you ever say that to a kid? Or even imply that? Like, because that's what you're doing. It's like if, okay, you have like how old's Charlie? 14?
Sounds
And you
rough.
keep saying like the lottery. He's like, hey, you're gonna win the lottery, you know, like keep buying tickets. And like the kid's like, oh, okay, and then he buys it. What do you think's gonna happen? Like, he's gonna be so let down, and he's gonna be miserable. He's gonna be pissed because he doesn't know. Why would you ever tell a kid that?
And he'll have lost all his money. That
He'll lost, especially with that family.
At least they had a TV somehow, I guess. But it was like
Yeah.
a 2x2-inch screen.
That's true. I mean, they had stuff. But he was doing good. He's a good kid. It's not like
Right.
he was on drugs. Their problems were only monetary. The 4 people who were bedridden were very old, so they lived full lives. The kid had a job. He wasn't on drugs. He seemed like a very nice kid. He was respectful. And then Grandpa Joe's like trying to ruin his life.
I mean, he said he wanted him to play with his friends, or thought he was sad because of that. But
Oh, because he's working and not.
yeah, but if you had to work, I mean,
Why can't he play with his friends on his free days? Like, we all had to work.
or talk to
Okay.
friends at school still.
I mean, I had a job.
You have recess.
How was he? 14? I had a job when I was 14.
He's probably younger. I don't know. Yeah. Grandpa
I don't
was
think
definitely projecting.
I wonder how old he was. He was like 13. And no, I had a paper route when I was that age. I was younger than him.
Yeah.
Grandpa Joe's this. It's like, okay, like he can't afford family, they can't even afford bread. And then Grandpa Joe tells Charlie he should be playing with his friends instead of maybe helping out his family. To an extent, I can agree with that, but I know that Grandpa Joe was just being selfish. And that's why he was saying it and not out of genuine concern for Charlie. Because clearly he doesn't have Charlie's best interest, he just projects everything onto Charlie. Like, he was projecting onto Charlie because he sees Charlie working, he thinks he should be, so he doesn't want Charlie to work. Because he's like, it makes him feel guilty.
That's definitely possible. Well, okay, but what scene came after that? Then Charlie
So they
gets
got
the
the
ticket.
first no, they got the first No, they got the first thing and it was his birthday, right?
Sorry, his birthday he got a chocolate bar, right?
His birthday, they got a chocolate bar, and
Okay.
then Grandpa Joe. So Grandpa Joe, literally says, "Open it up. Let's see that golden ticket."
Right.
Why would you tell a kid that? Like, are you sick in the head? Why would you tell that kid that?
To be honest, why would he tell the kid that? Because if the ticket wasn't there, he'd be happy no matter what. Like, you don't need to get his hopes up. Why would you
Don't
tell-
say anything. Like, yeah, that'd be great. Like, maybe an off sentence. Like, yeah, it'd be so cool if you actually won that thing. It'd be crazy, huh? But don't literally say, "Hey, you're gonna win. You're gonna win." Open up the ticket. Let's see, like, the gold. And then, like, you just make him cry. Because didn't he start, like...
He got really sad.
Yeah.
And he tried to offer the chocolate to everyone.
Yeah, I'm surprised Grandpa Joe wasn't like, "Yeah, I'll take some." Because everyone said no.
You're right. Okay, we already talked about
What did Grandpa Joe say after he opened the ticket and there wasn't anything there?
I don't remember.
Wasn't he like, "Oh, like, sorry," like, "Oh, you're gonna win. Oh, you got it. Oh, sorry." Like, it was something like that. It was like the equivalent of, "Oh, no."
Oh no, Charlie was like, "Guys, I got it," and they were like, really? And then he was like, fooled you, didn't I?
Yeah.
And then
Charlie wouldn't have felt nearly as bad if Grandpa Joe didn't keep egging him on about how he was going to win and like getting his hopes up for literally no reason. Like, he's doing good.
Yeah.
I mean, right now it's more important for values as a kid than like material possessions. And don't get me wrong, material possessions would be nice, but like like I said, I'm gonna keep reiterating this. He's doing fine. He doesn't need. It looks like he's doing fine. He's being brought up right. He doesn't need these like fake, like.
Just be grateful for what you have, not always like thinking about the things you believe you should have for no reason.
Right. And then Grandpa Joe he said it like, Charlie, you're gonna win because you wanted more. Why would you? This isn't. It's not like he's training for like the Olympics or something.
If Veruca Salt wanted it more than anyone, I think.
Yeah, it's true. And Charlie didn't want it that bad. To me, it seemed like Charlie would have been fine. Like, he was okay. I guess at the beginning of the movie, he was a little sad because he couldn't enjoy all the chocolate. I think it was like kind of a metaphor. Like, the candy man was like giving free candy out, but he could enjoy it with everybody else because he was poor and he had to work for his family. So I get that. He was a little sad. So that, to me, that's all it was like he just wished that he had the money so he could kind of enjoy things a little more. That's all it was to me. But then Grandpa Joe kept escalating it. Every time they talked about it, like, you're gonna win. You want it more. Like, you deserve it.
And going to the factory wouldn't even solve their problems. They would have got a lifetime supply of chocolate, but it's not gonna help, is it?
Yeah.
But
in fact, he should just sold that ticket then.
That would have been the smart move. Would have been to sell the ticket in their situation.
Yeah, and I get it. It's like a once in a lifetime opportunity thing. So like in the context of the movie, I can see why they went. Like, in the context of the movie, I can say like, okay, it's like a once in a lifetime thing. So we're not gonna sell. We're just gonna go. Okay, so what's next scene? Is that when they're in the middle of the night and they're opening up the bar and Grandpa Joe spends the tobacco money that Charlie gave him on freaking the candy bar.
Yeah, because he wanted to win the golden ticket.
So he's trying to raise Charlie's hopes up even more just to see him crash. Because that's exactly what's happening. It's like if you knew like a 14-year-old kid and he was in your life for some reason, like you're his uncle or grandparent or something, and you're just like, hey, like, we're gonna win the lottery, we're gonna win him, and you want it more, and we just keep buying it, and like you just keep buying lottery tickets just to see his hopes get up, just to watch the hope drain from his face when you scratch off the ticket and see that you failed.
That's what happened, and he even tried to get Charlie to open it instead of himself.
Yeah, he really wanted the full.
He could have opened it himself and
made sure
there was a ticket in there before he got Charlie's hopes up.
That's a good point. Yeah, he could have peeked in, like opened up just enough to see if there's something in there, because you could do that with those bars.
Yeah.
He didn't even try.
Okay, then Charlie gets the ticket, and his real father figure, the paper man he worked for, who tells him to go home and don't look back so no one messes with him, who saved him from that crowd. Charlie goes home, and then they find out he has the ticket, even though when Charlie tells them, Grandpa Joe questions whether or not Charlie's messing with them, even though he's the one that got his hopes up about how he would get the ticket, and then Charlie tells them he gets the ticket, and then he doesn't believe him.
Yeah.
So
he, in fact,
so it's like he knew how unlikely it was the whole time.
Exactly. He knew that. Well, he did think that all 5 tickets were found, right?
Oh, that's true, I suppose.
But even then, it sure didn't seem to really sway him before. Like, statistically, it's still 0, no matter what.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're pulling our legs, Charlie. There are no more bars. And he says, yes, there are more. There are 1. But I think when he saw that Charlie was getting his hopes up, he like had to put him down a little bit. Because before he knew they were going to go down, but now that he saw that Charlie's hopes were up, he was like, "What? Like, why are you so happy?" And then Charlie got the ticket.
He did get the ticket, and then Charlie's nice enough to say, "I wish you could come to the factory, Grandpa Joe," because they had to choose one person to come to the factory with. And then Grandpa Joe just suddenly stands up, or he finally tries to get up. At least he never tried to get up before, I guess.
Yeah,
he said the floor was cold. Didn't he have socks on or like slippers? Maybe not. Or you could just
it took him. It was literally like a 2.5 minute effort. Not even. It was like about a 1.5 minute effort of him, Charlie helping him up, and then he was standing. And then he started dancing.
Oh, he fell on Charlie, almost like killed him at one part.
Yeah, and he didn't even try to like fall to the ground and step Charlie.
And he did start dancing. He was singing, so his cardio was really good. Clearly,
we really have to go over this scene for a second. So let's go in depth. So Grandpa Joe's like reading it, and he's so happy, right? He's ecstatic that Charlie found the golden ticket. Now, let's recap real quick. Charlie bought the ticket for Grandpa Joe, so it was Charlie's selflessness that the movie was trying to portray as selflessness, which is why he got the ticket.
That's true.
He did not tell Grandpa Joe he was getting the ticket for him. He never said that. So Grandpa Joe does not know that Charlie brought the chocolate bar for him. So just remember that. So Grandpa Joe just starts singing, "I got a golden ticket. I have a golden ticket." Not Charlie or we. Not even we. It's "I have a golden ticket." Like, no, you don't. Charlie has a golden ticket.
He paid for it?
He paid for it with his... Well, actually, okay, he found the money. But his money. He found it. So why are you singing, "I have a golden ticket," if you didn't... It's not yours? Like, he just basically took his grandkid's ticket and said, "I have a golden ticket." It's like if your nephew or something, your grandkid, found a lottery ticket that won the jackpot, like $70 million, because that's like going to Charlie's factory. Like the Wonka factory was like the equivalent of winning like $100 million. And so you get the ticket, and then you just start singing, "I have a lottery ticket. I got a lottery ticket. Like I got it. Like I won." So that's what happened.
Yeah, I think what the movie was trying to do was, he couldn't get out of bed because he was depressed. He like didn't have the motivation to stand up. And then when he got the ticket, he had the motivation because he would got to go to the factory. And like the golden ticket symbolized like hope, or like now that Grandpa Joe actually had something like positive that happened to him in life, like serendipitous.
But it didn't happen to him. It happened to Charlie.
Well, yeah, and then Charlie wanted to take him to the factory. But I know exactly what you're saying.
Grandpa Joe didn't even offer to let his daughter go. The mom.
The mom deserved it way more.
Remember that scene where Charlie goes to visit her and is so depressed because like he just like goes over and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, I just want to say hi."
No, she wanted to walk her home.
He wanted to walk her home, but like the real reason he came was because he wanted to tell her that the fourth ticket was, or like the third ticket was found.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, why does that matter? You know, who cares?" Which is, true. Like, why? You shouldn't even care. And it's absolutely because Grandpa Joe keeps just getting his hopes up that he cares so much, because Grandpa Joe keeps instilling in his mind that he's going to win, he deserves a win. When in reality, it's like, that's so stupid to say to somebody. And you see how hard the mom's working. She's like slaving away doing laundry or whatever she's doing.
She was gonna have to come home like very late in the night. She couldn't even walk home with Charlie, her own son.
You see how late that was? It was dark out.
Yeah, and she was gonna be there for a few more hours. Yeah,
and Grandpa Joe didn't even offer to let her go with Charlie.
Right. Dude, have you seen American Idol? Sometimes they get these terrible singers, but the singers are like, "Wow, this is the first time I've ever been told I'm bad. Like, my family keeps telling me like I'm gonna be an amazing singer." All this stuff. It's very similar to Grandpa Joe, like just getting people's hopes up, and then they get embarrassed on national television. Charlie's like whole mental health just deteriorate.
Well, in fact, he's worse because in the case of the family, they probably don't want to tell the person they're a bad singer because they don't want to hurt that person's feelings.
Right, so this is even worse.
This is even worse because
it's unnecessary.
It's completely unnecessary.
It's like almost insidious because he doesn't need, like, it's not like Charlie would be sad without Grandpa Joe doing this.
Yeah, in fact, he just shouldn't have said anything. But it's way past that. So, yeah, Charlie, like, helps him up. He doesn't even offer to let his hardworking daughter go. And the mom is so nice, she, for some reason, lets the dad go. In fact, why was no one surprised that he was, like, walking around and dancing? She didn't even notice. She was like, oh, like, don't worry, Dad, I'll get everything ready for you tomorrow.
Right. I guess, well, I think the real answer is the movie was very wholesome and they didn't want to, like, they weren't going to, well, I don't know actually, because they could have had her a little shocked, I would think.
After 20 years of being bedridden, and it turns out he's literally walking fine. Like, literally he's fine. It took a minute and a half, probably, something like that, for Charlie to help him up. He gets him to stand, and then he's dancing. Like dancing that scene. It's not even like a week later or like some physical therapy involved.
I think the movie was trying to say the golden ticket got his hope up, or it gave him the motivation to be able to like walk again. Like he was so depressed before Grandpa Joe that he like couldn't walk, and now he had something to live for again.
I mean, I guess, but if that's
well, maybe that's not I think that's what the movie was going for. That's a bad logic, because if he didn't have enough motivation to stand when his daughter's slaving away, and Charlie's like slaving away and can't play with his friends, then
that's a great point.
Then that shouldn't have been, the ticket should not have been enough motivation.
That's such a great point. His grandson was buying him tobacco, and his mom was working late every day to provide for the 4 bedridden people. That was enough motivation for him to get up and work. Even the bad food he was eating that he was complaining about, or how about buying slippers because his feet were cold,
or being sad that Charlie couldn't play with his friends,
or buying more chocolate. That was enough motivation for him to stand up. But winning the golden ticket was
the chance to go to Willy Wonka's factory was.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so, and immediately when they win, he just starts berating Charlie. He just says, brush your teeth, wash your hair, wash your face, or whatever he says. Comb your hair, wash your face. Because he probably didn't want Charlie to embarrass him.
Even though he's the one that's probably smelled awful. Like, yeah. Charlie's hair looked perfect.
That's a great point, dude. Him eating cabbage soup all day, bedridden for 20 years, in his sick clothes and sheets, and like probably smelled so bad, and he's berating Charlie on his hygiene.
Right. Like, and then the mom.
What a hypocrite.
The mom is the one that still has to get his stuff right. Charlie has to take care of himself.
I mean, Charlie's fine. Grandpa Joe, can you go bathe? Are you going to be all right? Like, you just started walking like 2 minutes ago. Are you good?
Yeah.
Do you remember like how to walk or bathe? I mean, I can't believe that guy was actually criticizing Charlie for, bad Grandpa Joe probably smelled that day.
They didn't even show a scene with them using the bathroom. I question how they did.
Yeah, how do you even use the bathroom? It's probably
mom.
That was a motivation for him to stand, but
his
mom or his daughter had a.
If I were the daughter, I'd be so furious. She probably had dreams. I guess her husband. I don't know, but anyway, that scene's really bad for Grandpa Joe's character. But then they go to the factory, and everything's fine or whatever. But then the kids actually go inside, and Willy Wonka wants them to sign a contract for liability reasons, because everyone's trying to steal his trade secrets and all that. So yeah, he gets them to sign a contract. The other kids' parents are being very responsible and saying they're not signing anything without a lawyer or like reading it because it's a binding contract. Grandpa Joe's like, whatever, Charlie, just go ahead. We got nothing to lose, and just tells him to sign it.
Yeah, he didn't even attempt to read it.
No, he didn't.
Like, not even the first couple, like, lines. Yeah. Like, he clearly doesn't have Charlie's best interest at heart. I think he just wanted to go in. Did the adults have to sign?
The kids signed.
Did the adults have to?
No. I'm not sure why, but the adults did not.
So, when the other parents were saying that they're not having their kids sign anything until they at least read it over.
Right.
The kids kind of bullied him fine. With Grandpa Joe, it was the opposite. In fact, I think if the mom was there, she would have been like, I'm not letting him in unless we read something. Or let me, like, give me a minute. Like, I'm going to try to skim this over at least. No, Grandpa Joe didn't even attempt to read it. He just said, Charlie, go ahead and sign.
Exactly. He said we have nothing to lose. That was the quote.
That's what you say, but you don't know. You could be paying some sort of money or something. You could get stuck with some like lawsuit on your hands.
A bunch of debt.
Like there goes Grandpa Joe's tobacco fund for the year.
There goes your house and Charlie's college plan.
You thought cabbage soup was bad? I don't even know what's worse than cabbage soup, but it probably is, man. There's always a lower point you can get to.
Okay, and then the next scene, they're in that room where they go in and then they have to turn around and go out the door. But while they're in that room, remember, was it, it was the cowboy kids, I forget his name.
Mike TV.
Mike TV. His mom was saying, someone's touching me. And it was Grandpa Joe.
Yeah, Grandpa Joe, that pervert. The only woman there. And he's just like, was it the only woman? Oh no, Gus's Gloop's mom was there, but he didn't want to touch her. But yeah, she was there, and he was. Yeah. Well, even before that, he's extremely ill-mannered. He was gonna walk around the entire factory with his hat on.
Oh, true.
It's just like it's so disrespectful. You know, you're in someone's home, you take your hat off.
Did he have his hat the rest of the factory? Did he get it back, or he left it there?
I don't think he ever got it back because the movie ended with him in the elevator. Or no, maybe he got it back like a minute before.
But while they were taking the tour, he did not have it on.
No, because remember the claw? There was like a claw on the wall that like grabbed it. So basically saying like you're really ill-mannered. The fact that you didn't even try and take this off, like you just have no manners. How old are you? We're gonna take this off you because you clearly don't know how to handle yourself. And Grandpa Joe looked like surprised. I mean, like, why would you walk into someone's home like that?
Yeah. And the fact he left it there shows that he knew it was wrong to do, because he would have taken it back if he thought it was okay.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he knew it. He just didn't care. He was just selfish.
Or too lazy to take off. Or he forgot, given the benefit of the doubt. But given his character, it's not consistent.
Yeah. So the next scene, they go into the like candy room, like the giant candy factory with the
chocolate river.
Yeah, chocolate river. Who's the one who says it looks like sewage? That's probably someone else from the parents. I thought it might have been Grandpa Joe.
I'm not sure. I don't remember what he said.
Okay.
It might have been that car salesman guy. No, yeah, it might have been the car salesman guy.
Okay. So what's like the next scene with like Grandpa Joe and him? Or should we talk about the bubbly scene with the fizzy?
That's the only scene I remember next. With Grandpa Joe and or doing something.
So yeah, him and Charlie see with everybody else the fizzy pop drink scene. When you drink it, you can like literally fly. And he just asks a simple request not to have anybody drink that. And as soon as they leave the room, he just breaks it. He just immediately says, "Hey Charlie, let's just drink this anyway."
Yeah.
And he's the one he's like the devil on the shoulder.
Knowing they signed a contract knowing they were just told not to do it.
After seeing some kid fall into the river and get sucked up a giant tube, and then was this after that? Was this after the other?
Yes,
did someone else get caught too?
The the bubble chewing girl.
It was after that.
I think so, right? It was right before the TV.
Well, that was at the end. The bubble chewing girl was the second person, and then it was the verbal assault was the third person, and then Mike TV was the fourth person. So I think it was it after the blueberry girl?
I thought so.
Yeah, I think you're right. So after seeing Augustus Gloop get sucked up in that tube, who knows where he went? And
he almost died. He said he was going to the boiler.
Yeah.
And they had to get him out.
The kid was screaming for help. And that's after disobeying Wonka's orders. Because Wonka said, please don't touch the river. And then when that girl was eating she stole the bubble gum from Willy Wonka and started eating it. And she literally blew up like a balloon. That did not dissuade Grandpa Joe from having Charlie drink the fizzy drink.
Right.
Why would... So, you signed a contract and then you've seen these two horrific events for the first two kids. And you still want your grandkid to drink that. After Wonka says... What does Wonka say about it?
I actually don't remember exactly what he said. But...
He says it'll make you fly or something. Fizzy lifting drinks.
Oh, he said it would make them fly up. So they knew they'd fly up?
So, yeah, he ignores Wonka's request of drinking the fizzy... They're called fizzy lifting drinks. He ignores Wonka's request of drinking that, and if you're a guest in someone's factory or home, they ask you not to do something, and then why would you do it? I mean, it's pretty clear that Grandpa Joe, he would, he would just raid your fridge when you're not looking.
At the least, because he always talked about how much he was a fan of Willy Wonka, too. He clearly respected the guy a lot. You'd always have stories about him. Or telling Charlie stories about him. And then Willy Wonka asks him not to do something, and he doesn't care at all.
So that's how he treats the people he respects. And we already know how he treats Charlie, who, is his grandkid. Raising his hopes up and crushing him. I mean, imagine if he was in your home. He would be like, if you had a 12-pack of pop or something in your fridge, he'd take the last one. He would take, you had ice cream in your freezer, he would take the last scoop of ice cream and then leave the empty carton in the freezer.
Yeah.
I mean, something's wrong with this guy.
And Charlie's such a nice guy. When Augustus Gloop was drowning in that river, he was the only one that tried to help him. He got that, the lollipop and tried to get Augustus Gloop to grab it.
No one Grandpa Joe was pretending to help.
What was he doing? I don't remember.
I think he was he actually did say, here, let's help him get out.
Okay.
He did something like that. I think Grandpa Joe and Charlie were actually trying to help.
Maybe, well, I don't know what happened.
But that might be how he didn't grab on. So Grandpa Joe might have pulled it back. So yeah, after almost getting his grandkid killed by not listening to a simple request by someone who he's a guest in the guy's home, basically. That's where he lives.
And the way Grandpa Joe figured out how to get out of that situation was because he's so nasty. He burped really loud. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting, and clearly he's extremely ill-mannered, and he would be the one who would be walking. He'd have dirt all over his shoes, and he'd just walk right in your house without even thinking about it. He wouldn't care. And then he would just belch, literally in the middle of dinner. He wouldn't say anything about it. In fact, Charlie's actually pretty lucky he's so ill-mannered, because Charlie might have died if he wasn't that disgusting.
That's what I was thinking.
So he's so bad that he technically saved Charlie's life because he's such a bad person.
Even though he got them in that situation in the first place.
Right. I mean, that's true, but... So, what happens next? They catch up with the group, and they're with the... Oh, my gosh. Remember the Everlasting Gobstopper scene? It was right before this. And it was right before the Blueberry Girl. And Charlie told Grandpa Joe, because he says he tells Grandpa Joe he met Slugworth. Slugworth said something like, if you get the everlasting gobstopper at the factory, like, I'll give you like a crap ton of money. He just said, remember this name, everlasting gobstopper. And he told Grandpa Joe that. There was a scene where he said, I met someone named Slugworth. So then after Wonka is giving all the kids the candies, Charlie was actually probably not even going to take it, because Charlie didn't say anything, he didn't have his hand up or anything. And Grandpa Joe's the one who said, oh, what about Charlie? Right? Because I think Charlie knew that it was bad, so he wasn't going to do it. But then Grandpa Joe, he's like the devil on your shoulder. Like, telling you, like, take it, Charlie. Like, because you never know, we might give this to Slugworth. Get some money.
Not gonna lie, I wasn't watching on that scene. But...
that's what happened. He said, what about Charlie? Everybody else got one except for Charlie. And Wonka was not going to give one to Charlie. He said, what about Charlie?
Were the other kids raising...
He's like, oh, yes, here's Charlie's. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the other kids are asking for him? Is that why? Because why would he not give it to Charlie?
Yeah, they asked one, and then they were asking for it. Well, don't you remember that one girl's like, she's got two. She's like, she's got two. I want another one. And then like Wonka's face is like, I don't know if you remember that. That was really funny. But yeah, so Grandpa Joe's...
Wonka was hilarious in that movie.
He was.
Okay, so if that gobstopper scene didn't happen, Charlie wouldn't even have been tempted to give anything to Slugworth. Like, and Grandpa Joe knew what Slugworth told Charlie, right? Because Charlie told him about it.
Yes.
So he knew he wanted the gobstopper. It
was implied. There was one scene right after he won the ticket, and at the end of the scene is a cut scene right after, where he said, hey, Grandpa, I met someone named Slugworth, and then it ended. So it was implied that he told Grandpa Joe what Slugworth said. So Grandpa Joe knew about it.
Then why would he take the gobstopper? Because it wasn't like they were going to try it on the spot. Or they didn't try it on the spot, did they?
What, the candy?
Yeah, they didn't taste it, yeah.
No. But Charlie, and what I think was happening was Charlie was putting his hand down because he did not want to take it. Because he probably was like, it's not right. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was probably like, I don't want to be tempted.
And it's not like Charlie was too shy, because early in the movie, when he's in class and the teacher asked him how many chocolate bars he sold, he said 2. And the teacher said, oh, you sold 200. But then he speaks out again and says, no, I sold 2.
To clarify, because he's a very honest person.
A shy person would not do that. So it's not like he wasn't raising his hand because he was like afraid of like making or causing a scene or something.
So Grandpa Joe, again, is just the devil on the shoulder, tempting Charlie to do things that Charlie clearly does not want to do. Or Charlie is unsure of because he has his strong morality, so he's not really sure. But then Grandpa Joe just eggs him on.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was not paying attention during these scenes of the movie. All I remember is I started paying attention again near the end when Willy Wonka or Grandpa Joe was asking Willy Wonka if Charlie would get his lifetime supply of chocolate.
We'll get there, but okay, we can get there. But right before that, like basically right before they end the tour, every time somebody says something, Grandpa Joe always has some smart remark to tell Charlie. Every time.
I did notice that a little.
It's like, who's more mature, Charlie or Grandpa Joe?
Well, Charlie, I have to say, because Grandpa Joe kept like, he was making fun of isn't the right word. It was more like spiteful annoyance. There's spiteful remarks of annoyance at what the people were doing.
Well, let's name them. So there was the one spiteful annoyance where that Veruca's Salt, I remember one specifically where Veruca's Salt says they're riding on the chocolate, or like on the chocolate river, I think, and it's like a nice cool looking boat, and she says like, Daddy, I want one. And Grandpa Joe says, like, what she needs is like a nice kick in the pants to Charlie. Basically telling Charlie it's okay to like say these things out loud. He wasn't even trying to be quiet about it either.
/ abuse your child if they're
like
spoiled.
What you should say is you should just like shake your head or something like that, but don't say anything, be polite, and then make sure maybe tell Charlie later like, hey, you shouldn't act like that. Don't say something right then and there and make Charlie think it's okay to gossip in front of everybody. That's just completely immature and wrong to do.
Yeah. And Charlie did he respond or like?
No, Charlie is such a nice guy. He didn't say anything. What was another one of those?
That was actually the only one I remember. I was
Well, there was another one when Violet Beauregard, or whatever her last name was.
Yep.
She fell down that chute, or maybe that was Veruca's Salt. I don't remember. The one girl who, Veruca's Salt when she fell down the chute because she was a bad egg, and the dad like jumped after her, and then Charlie says an innocent like, why doesn't she just listen to? Or no, that was to Violet. Sorry, but there's two things. So in that scene, the dad jumps after her, and Grandpa Joe always has to say some smart aleck remark. He's like, well, at least the dad got what he always wanted. They're like, what's that? He's like, she went first. First off, what does that even mean?
She died first?
He said, at least her dad got what he wanted. And they said, what was that? And he said, she went first. Or something like that. I wasn't even sure how to interpret that. I was thinking it was something like, you talking about dying? Like, what do you mean?
That's what it makes me think of. Like he wanted his kid to die before him.
Yeah, is that what he was talking about?
At least she got what he always wanted.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this online. It's called Willy Wonka's puzzling quote. And I guess other people, I'm not sure what they were talking about either. Oh, okay, so, Mr. Salt finally got what he wanted. Charlie, what's that? Grandpa Joe, Veruca went first. And so I think it was... you're right, because these commenters are saying the same thing. They think it meant Veruca died first.
That's the most likely explanation.
And so that's what he always wanted. Why would you tell your kid that? That's such a sick thing to say to somebody. I mean, she was a huge brat. But why would you tell Charlie that her father wanted her dead? Or like glad that she died first? Why would you say that to a kid?
I get it as a joke, but
he wasn't joking though. I think he was serious.
Yeah, it's not something I would say to my kid.
You shouldn't even joke about that stuff, though. Especially your 14-year-old kid and you're 70. You shouldn't joke about that. Like, they might literally have died. That's the thing. They might literally have died, because remember, they're going to the boiler room. And Charlie asked Willy Wonka, they're not going to die, are they? And then Willy Wonka says something like, well, the boiler room is, like, only on every other day, so they have a good sporting chance. Something like that. So they could have died.
I know people who would make that kind of joke.
That they literally could have died.
But, yeah, when you bring up that point, it's a little sick.
And Grandpa Joe didn't even retract what he said. He didn't seem to care. Charlie's the only one who seemed to care that they could die. And Grandpa Joe literally made fun of like that girl's death.
Did he say that before or after they found out?
I think he said it before. But right after he finds out they're going to the boiler room, I think any sane person would have been like, oh, my bad, like I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah. Or at least like
they're going to garbage chute, something the boiler room, but it was like they're in garbage or something. I don't remember.
If it's my kid, I'd at least talk to Wonka. Like, yo, like this clearly isn't safe for children or us. Like, what kind of place is this?
Yeah.
His sense of protection is not very high.
Right. There's also a third quote. when Violet steals the bubblegum and starts getting fat, Charlie asks Grandpa, why doesn't... Was her name Violet?
Violet Bowler? I think so.
Yeah, because she's turning Violet. Violet's turning Violet. It's like, why doesn't Violet listen to Willy Wonka? And what does Grandpa say? Do you remember?
No.
It was something like, because she's a dunderhead, or something like that.
Wait, really? He didn't listen to Willy Wonka.
Well, no, yeah. The next scene, he drinks some fizzy drinks, so he didn't listen to Wonka either. Freaking hypocrite. So he berates that girl who he calls like a dunderhead or something. I forget the quote, but he insults her because she eats that bubble gum in front of Charlie. You don't make fun of kids in front of your kid. You know, you shouldn't do that. That's just wrong, because Charlie's going to think it's okay to make fun of maybe his classmates because of Grandpa Joe. Then when everybody turns out to start hating him, he's going to be like, oh, why do you guys hate me? Like, he's not going to realize that, and it's going to be like years before he realizes, wow, Grandpa Joe is such a bad influence on me. So,
right,
he says that about Violet in front of everybody. He's not even trying to be quiet about it. And then after he berates her Charlie says, like, why isn't she listening to Grandpa Joe? Or why isn't she listening to Willy Wonka? And Grandpa Joe says, because she's like a dunderhead or something. Then the next scene, he does not listen to Wonka, and he just starts drinking the fizzy drinks and makes Charlie do it too. He persuades Charlie to start drinking it too. So he's an extreme hypocrite. Like, even when he insults them, he's not even being consistent in his philosophy.
Yeah, he's very hypocritical. Okay, well, what was the... That's like, before they... That was before Mike TV, right?
Yes, that was before Veruca Salt. That was during Violet Beauregard.
Oh, okay.
Remember when she was like, she ate the gum, she saw it, and Charlie asked... So Grandpa Joe always has some like nasty thing to say about like kids.
Yeah, he does, because there's another... Before they got on that boat on the Chocolate River, the Veruca Salt's dad says ladies first, and he lets her on, Veruca on first.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandpa Joe says to Charlie, this is quote, "If she's a lady, I'm a vermicious knid." So already, like, being very snobbish.
It's not even that he's snobbish, and you know what? To an extent, I don't care. But it's how he's influencing Charlie. He doesn't seem to notice that that's negatively impacting Charlie. If I were Wonka, I'd be extremely concerned about having Grandpa Joe living with Charlie in that factory.
I'm surprised he lets him do it. We'll get to that scene, but it's funny because at that scene, Mr. Wonka says he's giving Charlie everything. He says you can live at the factory, and Grandpa Joe asks, "And me?" like question mark, like right away.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I forgot about that. He says, "And me?" That's the first thing he asks. He doesn't ask, "Can Charlie's mom?"
Or like congratulate Charlie, or
like, Charlie, like, congrats, like, your life is set. You are set for the rest of your life.
You deserve this.
That's not even his first thought. His first thought is, "And me." It's shocking.
Dude.
Well, we'll get there in a second. So what's the next scene after? Is that like end of it? Yeah, I don't remember anything about Mike TV. Did he say anything there?
I don't know Mike TV scene. But there's a... is there a scene... Do you know what the Wonka mobile is?
Yeah.
What scene was that?
That was where there was like all that white foam was popping out of Mike TV and the mom and Charlie. I remember they went through like a scrub thing or something, like cleaned them all off.
Okay.
Why?
Oh, never mind. Never mind. There's a quote. Grandpa Joe just asked Mr. Wonka, "What's that they're filling it up with? Like the stuff they're fueling the Wonka-mobile with?"
Yeah.
And Willy Wonka like lists all these things.
He said, "Sorry, I asked."
Yeah, he says, "Sorry, I asked." That's kind of rude.
Yeah, that's extremely rude to someone you're
You just ask a question.
You ask the question, dude.
And then just because it's a little long, he like doesn't want to hear it because he got bored from listening, I guess.
Yeah. So far we have Grandpa Joe basically teaching Charlie just utter disrespect. If Charlie's ever in someone's home and Charlie thinks that someone's being annoying or rude, Charlie realized, like, he learned basically, or he was taught to be disrespectful and rude, to insult people behind their back, to be disrespectful, like with clothing attire when walking into people's homes, disrespecting the host, not even just the guests, other guests too, but the host, by just saying rude remarks to him, stealing their drinks, stealing the fizzy drinks. Charlie's just getting taught terrible things from this man.
Dude, they should be so grateful that they're there, but Grandpa Joe he's walking in like he doesn't even realize like where they're at, or he doesn't. He's treating it like it's just a regular place, at the least.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, the only scene I remember next is when they were in that office with Willy Wonka.
Okay, so yeah, I remember Grandpa Joe asks, like, "What happens next, Mr. Wonka?" And he says, "Oh, you guys can go. Like, I'm not going to show you out. Go up the stairs." And what even happens? Charlie says, "Oh, what happened? Did we do something wrong?" And Grandpa Joe says, "I don't know, but I'm going to find out."
Yeah, and he goes to ask Willy Wonka when Charlie's going to get the lifetime supply of chocolate.
He doesn't even say, he actually says, when are we going to get the I'm going to ask you about the lifetime supply of chocolate bars for Charlie. He says for Charlie after. Like, he like takes him a second. Like, oh shoot, for Charlie, not for me.
Well,
I think that's how it went.
He said, "I just wanted to ask about the lifetime supply of chocolate for Charlie."
Yeah, for Charlie.
Yeah. Well, when does he get it? And then Willy Wonka has to explain to them that they broke the rules.
Yeah.
And then so they're not getting it. And then Grandpa Joe says, "What rules? We didn't see any rules, did we, Charlie?" He like brings Charlie into it. It's like, dude, you guys, do you not remember the contract you signed at the beginning? Are you that short? Like, do you have dementia with your age? Like, how do you not remember that?
And that's a conversation between adults too. Why would you even bring Charlie into that? It's like if you're talking to another adult and they say like you're not getting anything, why would you bring your 14-year-old kid into it?
Exactly, yeah. And have make your 14-year-old kid back you up. And Willy Wonka thinks you're wrong. You don't think you're wrong, and then you bring your 14-year-old kid to like back you up. And if you are wrong, then you're making your 14-year-old kid be wrong as well.
They were too.
They were wrong, yeah.
So, and why were they wrong?
Because the drink, the fizzy drink that Grandpa Joe wanted them to take.
Right. So it wasn't even Charlie's fault.
Yeah.
Sure, Charlie didn't have to drink it, but he's 14? And yeah, he probably realized he shouldn't drink it, but it's Grandpa Joe's, just the devil on his shoulder. So it's Grandpa Joe's fault that they were not getting a lifetime supply of chocolate bars. And
it was, yeah.
And Grandpa Joe's fault that he signed the contract without even
I don't think a 14-year-old kid can't even consent to a contract.
That's
true.
That's true.
So it was on Grandpa Joe.
Yeah, it was completely on Grandpa Joe. So it was Grandpa Joe's fault that they didn't get the chocolate. So instead of even apologizing, they didn't even apologize to the guy.
Even though the guy was yelling at them, and he really didn't have to do that. He didn't even try to say like, oh, like, shoot, you know what? We are sorry. Is there any way we can reconcile this? Like, he should have said, Grandpa Joe should have said, I take responsibility. I tempted him into doing this. Like, I made him do this with me. He was not going to do this on his own. It was 100% me, and I'm sorry. That's what Grandpa Joe should have said. If any regular adult would have said that, if it was their fault, which it was, he should have said that. He should have manned up.
Right. Or a person. Okay, a normal adult would have said that. Some people would have kept denying it and like saying they didn't because they would have thought like they can't get caught or something. He accuses Willy Wonka of being a. He says the first thing that comes out of his mouth: "You're a crook. You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are." The first thing that comes out of his mouth. So that's worse than what 99% of people would have done. He blames Willy Wonka, even though they're the ones that broke the rules.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking what I would have done in that situation. If Willy Wonka started yelling at me for something I did like that, I would not put up with him screaming at me like that. However, I would be clearly guilty because I did steal his busy lifting drinks when he said not to, and I basically almost killed myself and my grandkid. So I can see how it's a pretty egregious thing. Like, they almost died. So I would basically say, like, don't yell at me, number one. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, like, it was my responsibility. Please let y'all get a chocolate. And what does he do instead? Can you reiterate?
He says, you're a crook, you're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are. And then he says, this is the worst part. He says, how could you do something like this? Build up a little boy's hopes and then smash all his dreams to pieces? You're an inhuman monster. That's literally what he was doing the whole entire movie.
That was the first half of the movie, was him. How could you say that to Wonka when you were doing that the entire first half of the movie with Charlie and getting his hopes up about buying tickets? How he's going to win all 5 tickets because he wants it more. Knowing full well how ridiculous even getting close to winning would be.
Yeah, he's projecting again. Wonka nicely let them in the factory. They got exactly what they knew they were getting.
That is the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard. And wait a minute, how exactly did Wonka get his hopes and dreams up? Or what do you say, his hopes and dreams?
Yeah, build up a little boy's hopes and then smash all his dreams to pieces.
So he's not even. So he just admitted himself in that quote that he's aware that you're
Charlie's a little boy.
He's aware that Charlie's a little boy, and he's aware that he's capable of instilling hopes and dreams into this little boy. So it's not like he's ignorant of that fact that that's a thing that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't instill hopes and dreams to somebody,
right?
And then crash them. So he's not even. It's not like he's even ignorant of that. But that's exactly what he was doing.
In fact, he treats it like it's a really, really bad thing because he says you're an inhuman monster.
Right.
So he does it really bad, and he's making it worse than I even originally thought it was.
So he's basically admitting that he's himself is an inhuman monster.
Yeah,
he's completely cognizant of what is happening and how is Wonka? Okay, let's take this step by step. How is Wonka inhuman? Though? How did he build up Charlie's hopes and dreams?
He told them that they were getting a lifetime supply of chocolate, and now
why is that building up someone's hopes and dreams though? Is that just more projection?
It's not building up hopes and dreams, so it has to be projection. I'm not sure. I guess because Charlie's dream is to have Charlie's dream wasn't to have a bunch of chocolate. He wanted to see the factory. He didn't care about the chocolate. He offered chocolate to like his family after he got it and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
He bought bread with his money. He didn't buy chocolate at the beginning of the movie. Like, I don't think he cared about the chocolate. Yeah. I don't know if Charlie even care about the lifetime supply of chocolate? Like, why?
Well, it would have been nice to have because he's a kid, but it certainly wasn't breaking his hopes and dreams, especially because they broke the rules. And they did break the rules. But again, it's Grandpa Joe's fault. So if he just owned up to his mistake he made with Charlie.
Yeah, he didn't admit it. He didn't admit what he did, that he did anything wrong at all.
He didn't even realize the extent of, or the gravity of what he did wrong, because they almost died. And he not only just the disrespect thing and whatever, and they were trying to have a little fun, they almost died. And he's acting like it's Wonka's fault that they're not getting that. It's clearly Grandpa Joe's fault. I mean, that was a serious situation they were in. And he just starts blaming him for Charlie's misfortune. Further misfortune when it's not Wonka's fault, really.
Yeah. It's, well, he calls him a crook, a cheat, and a swindler. He didn't cheat them of anything. He didn't. Willy Wonka didn't get anything from Charlie or Grandpa Joe. All he did was give them stuff. So it's not like he took anything away. I get the building up hopes because he offered them lifetime supply of chocolate.
I think that's what he was referring to. It was
like stealing
the hopes. Like he was stealing the hopes and dreams of
a crook and a cheat. What did he cheat them out of?
Charlie's hopes and dreams.
Do you think he just did that for fun? Like,
well, the Grandpa Joe sure as heck was like at the beginning of the movie.
He doesn't even question like why Willy Wonka did it. Like, I don't understand.
Oh my gosh. So all right, so right after that, what does Grandpa Joe say? I think he says something.
Dude,
like,
this is the. Sorry, you thought that last part was bad. This is even worse.
You got the quote?
Yeah, he says, "Come on, Charlie, let's get out of here. I'll get even with him if it's the last thing I'll ever do. If Slugworth wants a gobstopper, he'll get one." It's so, dude.
So not only is he telling him to get revenge, he's also telling Charlie to commit corporate espionage.
Yeah, break the law. You can't do that.
Well, it's theft. You are. I guess he's not stealing because Wonka gave that to him, but he said don't. What didn't Wonka like specify? Like, don't ever show this to anybody ever. Right?
There's got to be laws against that stuff, like trade. You can't.
He gave it to them, but then he said like just don't show this or give this to anybody. So it's it doesn't. Who cares?
They
about
signed
the law,
a contract too.
Well, who cares about that though? Let's do. Yeah, right. It's part of the contract,
Which they were just reminded of.
Well, let's.
And
just
Grandpa Joe's about to break it again.
Let's just talk about morality for a second. You don't tell your kid that like to commit corporate espionage, basically take someone's information that they worked hard for, that they said it's their most prized secret invention in the factory, and then tell them to commit corporate espionage and basically give it to some random guy for like whatever amount of money. Why would you tell your kid that?
Yeah, never. And it's all because Wonka didn't give them a lifetime supply of chocolate.
It's all because Wonka didn't give him a lifetime supply of chocolate, which was Grandpa Joe's fault because he broke the rules and didn't read the contract, didn't even attempt to read the contract.
And he didn't listen to what Wonka said.
He didn't even apologize to Wonka. He could have said, like, look, don't yell at me, number one, but this is all my fault. I'm the one who tempted Charlie to drink the fizzy leftover drinks. If you have cameras, you can see for yourself. My bad. Can you please, like, not screw over Charlie? He didn't even try to apologize for his recklessness about almost getting them killed and his dishonesty and his disrespect to Wonka and his home.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Charlie. He said, I'll get him back if it's the last thing I ever do. It's all about him. He wanted revenge because he's just miserable, I guess.
Yeah.
He's projecting. And after years of telling Charlie, like, the stories of Willy Wonka, how he's a great man, he even had to close his factory because Slugworth was trying to steal all his secrets. And Slugworth is an awful man. He now wants to collude with Slugworth. Like,
yeah, on
a whim.
Yeah. So after berating to Charlie and saying like, "Oh, Slugworth's an evil person," he's oh well. Now that I'm mad at Wonka, it's okay now to try to steal and give away secrets because it's me, it's Grandpa Joe, and it's not Slugworth doing. Because before he was berating.
Because Wonka deserves it because of a contract that he set up, which was perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, so Charlie is such a good person that he walks to Wonka and gives the gobstopper away. After Grandpa Joe says to Charlie, like, if Slugworth wants this, we'll give it to him. I think Charlie realized that Grandpa Joe is the one who got them into this mess, and he said, I'm just not going to listen to you. And that's why he gave that gobstopper away. That could very well have been what happened.
He knew it was wrong. He had more maturity than this wise old man.
Yeah.
At 14. Which I guess isn't that hard, but...
Yeah, he never once made fun of anybody when Grandpa Joe's been doing it the whole time. He listened to Grandpa Joe with the fizzy lifting drinks. Yeah, I mean, he just decided to do the right thing, even though Grandpa Joe was the devil on his shoulder, stronger than ever, by the way, at that moment, because he was really mad, and he gave it back to Willy Wonka, and fortunately, Grandpa Joe's efforts failed.
Yeah, luckily, Charlie's so good that somehow he resisted the temptation, and then Willy Wonka offers Charlie the factory and tells him he can live there. And then Grandpa Joe, the first thing that comes out of his mouth is asking if he can live there too.
No, we can't even get there yet. But no, you're right. Yeah, so Grandpa Joe, he says, "Oh, you can live there." And he's like, "And me?" It's like, "Yes, even and you."
You're like, dude, you don't deserve any
That's
of
the
this.
first thing you say when they say you can. You have the factory is yours, Charlie. You can take it. You can live there. It's like, you could bring your family too. He says, even, or what does he say? He's like, you could live there, and he said, "And me."
Yeah, and me.
So he didn't even. He basically invited himself.
Dude, he deserves literally nothing.
He literally invited himself to live in the factory that was given to Charlie, not to Grandpa Joe, to Charlie. I mean, why would you? Like, if anything, Grandpa Joe being there is making Willy Wonka not want to give it to Charlie.
Exactly.
Because Wonka said, "I'm giving it to you, Charlie. Do you know why? It's because I need somebody who will listen to me." So Willy Wonka was kind of, it's a little weird, but okay. It's like, I just want someone who will listen to me and not... What did he say? I don't know if you have the quote up, but... He said, like, not, like... corrupted or whatever. It's just someone who will listen to me and, like, my thoughts and stuff. And... honestly, Grandpa Joe's the one who's... making Charlie not listen to him.
Yeah, I don't have the exact quote, but I'm surprised Wonka didn't make the deal that Charlie can only get the factory if Grandpa Joe was not there as well. But Willy Wonka's nice enough to forgive him. Or I think he trusts Charlie so much that he believes Charlie will be able to the benefits Charlie gives to the factory will outweigh any negatives Grandpa Joe gives by being there. Because I'm surprised he lets him stay.
Yeah. And before that scene, where Slugworth comes out of the room, well, once Willy Wonka says, "You did it, Charlie, you did it," and he says that, like, "I knew you would do it," and basically says that the whole thing was like a facade to make sure that you're the type of person that Wonka wants to own the factory. Grandpa Joe doesn't apologize for anything. He literally said, "Let's give this to Slugworth. If he wants it, he'll get it." And Slugworth walks out of the room. Grandpa Joe's not even embarrassed. He's not even nervous. He was about to commit corporate espionage, guys. I mean, he's not even nervous, embarrassed. He's not cognizant of the extremity of what he was about to do. He realizes it's like all a facade, and he doesn't even say anything. And it's like he's just extremely selfish. It's like he can do no wrong.
Yeah, it's exactly like he can do no wrong.
I mean, if that were you, you're really mad, so you want to screw over Willy Wonka. So you're like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna give this a Slugworth. You know, who cares? I said before, like F Willy Wonka, and then it finds out Willy Wonka was just testing Charlie. Wouldn't you be like, you'd be still mad, I guess, a little bit, but once you realize like, oh, it's just a test because like, I don't know, wouldn't you be at least a little bit sorry for corrupting Charlie's mind?
You almost got your kid killed.
Yeah, you almost got your grandkid
You don't realize
killed.
you did something wrong?
You almost got your grandkid killed. You're basically, he's just being such a bad influence during the entire movie. I mean, imagine if you're, you know, a parent, you're just like talking to your kid like, man, that kid's so annoying. Like, that person needs a kick in the pants. Or like, gosh, what a dunderhead not listening to Wonka. You know, like just like
You said the word. You said nitwit.
Nitwit. You don't tell your kids that.
Or dimwit, maybe? Same thing.
So he's not even the least bit guilty or even cognizant of what they were about to do. Once Slugworth comes out, Wonka's basically ignoring Grandpa Joe at this point. Because Grandpa Joe's clearly such a bad person. Yeah, Grandpa Joe says, and me? He's like, Charlie, you get to live in your factory. And then Grandpa Joe says, and me? Like that's his first thought, not, what about his mom? Or like...
And Charlie has to ask, but what happens to the rest? Is what he says. Of his family.
And Grandpa Joe says they can live there. Or no.
Willy Wonka says, yeah, the whole, he says they can all live there.
Is that when Grandpa Joe says, and me?
He says, and me before that. Right before that. Yeah, he says, and me, but not like, and the rest of the family. But he just says, and me.
Yeah, why would he say, and me? Like,
I don't know.
Unless you're an extremely selfish person, you wouldn't say, and me.
If I was in that situation, and Willy Wonka says, Charlie, the whole factory is yours, you can move in immediately. No, I would never think, and me. I would think, like, wow, that's amazing. Like I would even understand if Charlie lived there without me. I would think that's the norm. Like, that would be the normal thing.
Yeah, what he should have been like is, Charlie, I've been such a terrible influence on you. I'm so proud of you for doing the right thing and not stealing. No matter how poor we are, you did the right thing, and it's going to benefit you so much more later in life. He didn't even think of that. His first thought was, can I come too?
Yeah. Even though he clearly doesn't deserve it, because he wanted Charlie to give the gobstopper to Slugworth. So he does not deserve to live there at all. He's living on Charlie's coattails and wants to be there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even realize that.
He doesn't seem to notice or care.
Yeah. But he thinks Willy Wonka was a bad person.
Yeah.
So
It's just...
it's not like he doesn't have some sense of morality.
No, in fact, it makes me think he's more insidious after you brought up that quote about him saying, you're bringing up this poor a little boy's hopes and dreams and crashing him into the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
You could have at least said he's just an ignorant person. He just didn't mature. But now you realize he's cognizant of that capability, and he's been clearly doing it the entire time. In fact, that's my biggest concern right there, is it just shows how much of a sociopathic, narcissistic, like, manipulator he is.
Yeah, and his response to it all, he wanted to bring Charlie even lower, and he wanted to get revenge on Wonka. He wanted Charlie to give the gobstopper to Slugworth, so he could get revenge on his projection.
That was Charlie's gobstopper. That wasn't Grandpa Joe's gobstopper. It was Charlie's gobstopper. And Grandpa Joe says, if he wants a gobstopper, he'll get one. And if I were Charlie, I'd be like, how? You know, do you have one? Because I'm not going to give him mine. So he just assumes that he can give Charlie's gobstopper. Well,
he thought it was his, because he's the one that told Willy Wonka to give it to Charlie. Because he said, what about Charlie? He wanted it for himself, clearly. And then...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if Charlie wanted it for himself? What if he didn't want to sell it? What if he just wanted to suck on it forever?
This makes me...
Why would you offer up your kid's new toy? Because you're mad that what you didn't even buy. because you're mad at somebody. Even though it's your fault that person's mad at you. And you accuse that person of doing exactly what you were doing the entire movie. Like, projecting his misdeeds on him.
He's either really dumb and senile, or like he's really evil.
No, I'm leaning towards evil though, because like you said, he's cognizant of his misdeeds versus Charlie.
I do think, well, yeah, but I do think part of they had that TV. I'm beginning to think that he like just watched TV nonstop for 20 years straight, because that scene with Mike TV, he gets like really excited at Wonka's invention of being able to like have people go into the television program itself. It made me think like he was like obsessed with TV. So like maybe he's literally brain dead. But
wait, he wanted that kid to go into the TV?
He was like really. I mean, he was really amazed at Wonka's like invention that dealt with TV. So one theory is that he watched TV. He was like obsessed with TV, and so maybe he's just like really dumb and brain dead. But I guess that's a stretch.
No, I think he's just
evil.
I think he's just not a good person. In fact, worse than good. He's worse than not good. He's just a terrible man.
I'm leaning towards that too.
I mean,
I don't know if that's what the writers intended.
Yeah.
I don't think he was meant to be like the antagonist of this movie, but it's what he turned out to be.
He
was the antagonist.
He literally was the antagonist, though, because
he tempted Charlie, and he was the thing that was preventing Charlie from reaching the goal,
or from reaching.
He was the obstacle Charlie had to overcome.
Man,
that's not even. There's no other way around it. What other obstacle did Charlie have?
He didn't. The obstacle he had to overcome was letting his misfortunes of monetary value cloud what really matters in life. That's what he had to overcome, because he had all his grandparents besides Uncle Grandpa Joe. As we've talked about, Grandpa Joe was such a bad person. His other three grandparents seemed very nice and great. They didn't smoke tobacco, using their mom's poor money. They couldn't even find bread because they're buying this guy tobacco. They're very kind to Charlie, very nice to Charlie. It seemed like a good home. I mean, that's what he really had to overcome. And instead, it was this. Grandpa Joe just kept instilling this cloud of he needed something else. He needs something else than what he already has, and he really doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the antagonist.
Yeah. Man, he would have been better off just bringing the mom.
That's for sure.
The mom would have at least attempted to read the contract. And then, finally, we have nothing to lose, signs it. They would never drink the fizzy lifting drinks. She would never made snide remarks to anybody. They probably would have saved Augustus Gloop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonka would have literally at the end of the tour, Wonka would be it's yours. I've seen perfect.
Right, and she would have said thank you. They didn't even say thank you. Charlie did. He hugged him. Grandpa Joe didn't say anything. But
did they not say thank you? Yeah.
I don't think they did. If you really want to keep up to date on Grandpa Joe hate memes, there's a Reddit thread. It's just called Grandpa Joe hate. How many people are online right now? 700
on the Reddit page.
Yeah, it's updated daily, basically. Not gonna lie, it does seem like people are projecting hate that they have for other things in life on him, and they're venting it through this thread. But it's really funny.
And it's apparently pretty easy too.
and their points are still valid.
There's 710 people online that Grandpa Joe hates, and there's 129,000 members of this group. And just today, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a lot of posts on this thread every day for this movie that came out 50 years ago.
It's hilarious.
Well, Grandpa Joe's an evil man.
Dude, never. Well, yeah, definitely an eye opener of how movies work to me.